good, everyone? Another day. If you woke up this morning, be grateful, be thankful, you're blessed. Remember that. Right, 4 days out. It's cardio time. It's a cold one this morning, actually. It's a cold one this morning, and it's 8:27 in the morning here in the UK. It's not the best time to be going to the gym because it's rush hour, so I'm expecting, it's normally a 12-minute journey to be precise. I'm expecting it to be a bit longer this morning. There's a lot of traffic out. So yeah, people driving like idiots as well. But there you go. That's London for you. So peak week. What could I talk to you about? I mean, my last video, I posted a video yesterday of me posing. So if you haven't seen that yet, go and check it out. It's reminiscent an old school, the things I first started posting when I created my YouTube channel that people really engaged with. I haven't done in a while, so if you want to see that, go and check it out. That was my last video, and this one has more than 9 views. This one has about 20, I think. So that's 11 views more than the last one, which is brilliant. Thanks. And thanks to the couple of people that commented as well. That's really good. I really appreciate the couple of comments I've had as well. So yeah, all good. So peak week. What can we talk about today on peak week? Now, leading into peak week, you should already be in shape, right? You should be in shape and ready to go, essentially. So if you're fighting to get in shape during peak week, then you probably messed up your prep, I suppose, to an extent. And you're pushing the boundaries, and or if you're in shape in peak week and you're trying to gain the extra edge, like I said to you in one of my previous videos, you can spill over and mess things up. So what I would say to you during your peak week is to don't overcomplicate things. Stick to the food you've ate throughout your prep, because your body is now used to that food. Don't try adding anything fancy in the hope of gaining an extra few I don't know, pounds of muscles, or filling out a bit better than, or whatever you're trying to do. Don't add food that your body hasn't been used to for the last 12, 13, 14, 15 weeks, or however long it is you've been dieting for. You're already in that state. You're ready. Remember, you've been peaking for 12 to 14 weeks, hopefully, or however long, like I said, you've been dieting for. You've been in a deficit for this long. You don't want to mess things up on the last week by adding something to your body, or adding food to your plan that your body isn't used to or hasn't been used to for the last 12 to 14 weeks. Especially on show day, you go backstage and you see people eating all sorts in the hope of gaining, I don't know, filling out, I suppose. For me, that's just silly. You stick to what you've been eating throughout your prep. If you've been carbing on potatoes, then I'll say show day, carb up on your potatoes. Yes, there's a bit of water manipulation that goes into peak week that can help, but your water should be quite high anyway, leading up to your show. For me, and that's for me, 24 hours before the show, I manipulate my water a bit more, but I up my carbs because I carb into my show. I backload, right? Like I've said to you before. So essentially what I'm saying to you is, don't try and overcomplicate things. Don't try and add things that you haven't been eating throughout your prep. Keep your carbs pretty much similar to what you have been eating, because you don't want to upset your stomach or spill over, because your body's not used to something you've put in there in the hope of gaining extra. So that's it really. When it comes to peak week, don't overcomplicate it. Don't listen to a million and one different gurus who tells you a million and one different things. Keep it simple. Stupid is what you should do. You should already be in shape. Yes, you're trying to fill out. You may have deloaded, or you may be, like I said, backloading or front loading. Front loading meaning that you would carb up the first few days and deload into the show. Most people would deload into the show and backload into show day. Now, in terms of how much carbs you should be taking, again, that's another thing. It's personal to you, I suppose. But a ballpark figure would be 10 grams of carbs per kilo. 10 to 15 grams of carbs per kilo. Carbing into the show, right? So 10 to 15 grams per kilo. Boy. Almost an accident there. But 10 to 15 grams per kilo carbing into the show. So I do a 2-day carb load, right? 2 days into the show. So if this show's on Sunday, which it will be, I have depleted Monday to Thursday. Friday, Saturdays are fun days for me. So I load on Friday and Saturday, which all of a sudden your energy comes back and you're feeling great again, and I love that. So everyone will tell you, anyone who does bodybuilding, who pushed himself to get on stage in great condition, would tell you that the 2 days loading into shows are fun days, where you feel like, oh man, I feel like I'm alive again. So like I said, 10 to 15 grams of carbs per kilo is the ballpark figure, is what you should be aiming for. So you don't overspill. You don't want to just be ramming carbs down you and whatnot. You need to have an idea of what you do. Like I said, the carbs you're using to carb up should be the carbs you've used throughout your prep. Like I say, you've been using a certain type of carbs. Don't try and all of a sudden try and use something completely different, because your body might not be used to it and you may react negatively. So do that. And other than that, other than manipulating your water slightly, there ain't much else to add when it comes to carbing up into a show. Like I said to you, I love it. I love that 2 days. I love the best days of my life. And when you've been restricting the food that you eat for so long, for however long it is you've been prepping, it's really fun when you carbohydrates, man. And if you get it right, you see your physique really filling out. And another thing as well is to check the scales. Check the scales. I've said 10 to 15 grams per kilos. I say check the scales in the morning, the first carb up day. You carb up on the Friday, wake up in the morning, jump on the scales to see how much your body weight has shifted during the carbon up process. And if you find that you've dropped weight, then maybe you should think about adding extra carbs. Because if you're carbon up, you should find that you've put some weight on. Some people find the opposite. Maybe, and that could possibly mean you're not carved up enough. So within reason, you could probably go higher with your carbs to really fill out. So that's another way, So those are some of the things I do, some of the tricks of the trade. But essentially, I don't go, don't get silly with it. Don't go backstage and start eating rice cakes and all these, I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. If that works for you, then it works for you. But my advice would not be to do that. My advice would be to stick to what you know, stick to what you've been eating throughout your prep, and don't overcomplicate things. Sounds really boring. Most people want to, try different things come the end of the prep, and I know it's exciting. You just want to eat food, you know, and the minute you start, you can't stop. You know, you can't help yourself. Sometimes, you know, food is very addictive, especially when you've been restricting yourself. It becomes very addictive. So yeah, that's my little bit of advice for peak week. So we see how it turns out for me. This is my first rodeo, as you know. So you know, it's tried and tested. I've done it many times before, so I trust the process and that of my coach who guides me as well. So yeah. There's not much else to add. You know, it's another cardio session about to go down. As for cardio as well, I've got a little time. As I said, the traffic is ridiculous now this time in the morning in London. Always away. As for cardio, now, at the end of the day, it's a bodybuilding show, right? It's a bodybuilding show. And I think we forget that sometimes, because the onus now seems to be on how shredded you could come in, shredded glutes and this, that, and the other. So it's the onus seems to be on coming in as shredded as you can and blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, it's a bodybuilding show. Yes, you want to come in shredded. Yes, it'd be great to have shredded glutes as well, and all of that. Some people are more akin to having shredded glutes than some. That's just your genetics. But that seems to be the thing now. Anyway, it's a bodybuilding show. You should be cardio for me. Just don't overdo it on the cardio. You don't have to overdo it on the cardio. Ridiculous. If you know, and I would say an hour max a day, or if you want to, if you think you're that off, 2 hours. But I wouldn't do 2 hours at the same time. I'd split it. Maybe do half an hour. Depend on your time. Depend on what you do during the day. If you could split it into two sessions or 4 sessions, do half an hour here, half an hour there, go for a walk, whatever. But I wouldn't go anything. I certainly wouldn't go anything beyond 2 hours, because then you start eating into muscles. It's a bodybuilding show at the end of the day. You don't want to be eating into. You're gonna do it anyway. Listen, you're gonna lose muscle mass. Dieting anyway. What you don't want to do is start eating into that muscle by overdoing it with the cardio, or leaving prep so late that you then have to make up for it by this idiot. Idiots on the road. He just cut me up. Sorry. So yes, I'll talk about cardio. So you don't want to start your prep late to the point where you're doing hours and hours of cardio, losing muscles to make up for lost time. You know, I think, like I said, there ain't much else to be said about that, to be honest. Like I said, if you're going anything beyond 2 hours, I think you're mad. That's too much, way too much. You know, and if you've left it too late, then maybe plan better in the future. And if you left it too late and you really want to, you have to do what. At the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do. But my advice would be to, that would be my advice. Don't. For me personally, I'm looking at about an hour's cardio. And I don't start my prep doing an hour's cardio every day, because I don't start my prep fat. Again, it depends on where you start your prep, right? Depending on how much body fat you are carrying at the start of prep. And that will dictate how much cardio you do towards the end of your prep. So if you are one of those people that put on 20-30 kilos in the off season, then you have to work hard to lose it. I mean, enjoy your food, but if you put on 20-30 kilos in the off season and you're 70 kilos bodybuilder, then you've only got yourself to blame, to be honest, when it comes to cutting, comes to dieting down for show day. You just got to work harder. It's not something I do. I'd never do it because I like being in shape anyway. I hate the idea of being overweight and unfit. At the end of the day, bodybuilding is about fitness, and I think people forget that. Because all the drugs and stuff affiliated with bodybuilding and whatnot, people forget that it's about health and fitness first. That's what it's always been, and what it always should be. Health, fitness, strength, pushing the body beyond its normal capability is what we tend to do. And not just bodybuilders that do that. It's sprinters and most athletes push their body beyond its normal capability. That's what we do. That's what inspires people, right? The guys and girls who go out and push their physique beyond, to push it to places where most people are not willing to go. The ones that we look up to and applaud and we call them celebrities, or we appreciate them for doing so. So yeah. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent here. Like I said, this is normally a 12-minute drive. I've probably been to about 15 minutes now because it's silly traffic. But is what it is. Getting an early session done today so I could get home and chill out and relax and rest a bit, and come back this afternoon or this evening for a shoulder session, do some posing during the day and whatnot as well. So yeah, that's it really. Anyway, I'm gonna sign out now because I feel like I'm waffling. So yeah, with that, I'll see you guys on my next vlogging video. Take care.